Hi, I'm Alana. Welcome to another video. In today's video, we're doing a get ready with me for church. So, today I want to talk about this book by C.S. Lewis called Mere Christianity. So, I've actually heard about this book before. I've heard people tell me about it and recommend it to me. And then I saw it in the bookstore the other day. I was like, I really want to read that. But I was also like, I cannot buy any more books because I have no idea how I'm going to ship them back to Australia as is. So, yeah, but then I was in the common room downstairs in my building and I saw it on the bookshelf and I was like, this is a sign. So, another book of C.S. Lewis's that I absolutely adored is called The Screwtape Letters. I highly recommend reading that. But so in this Mere Christianity, he talks about, so C.S. Lewis was a writer who he was originally an atheist, but then he converted to Christianity and he's written extensively on the topic. And so he opens by saying, everyone has heard people quarreling. Sometimes it sounds funny and sometimes it sounds merely unpleasant. But however it sounds, I believe we can learn something very important from listening to the kind of things they say. I don't know if this is relevant, but it reminded me of when I was in Byron Bay and I was staying at this yoga training retreat cult thing, and I had arrived at the Airbnb before anyone else and it was completely dark. So I was walking, it was pitch black. There was nothing around this area. It was very remote because it's a cult, so they don't want you to be able to leave. And I was walking around in the pitch black at night here because I love darkness and wide open, dark, isolated spaces. And so I was walking around the pitch dark and I walked past this house and I was sitting in the laneway, driving the laneway, and I heard these people having the loudest, most violent argument. It was a couple, because there was a woman and a man, and they were screaming and throwing, smashing plates and stuff like that. So I called the police. And yeah, so anyway, it's just a thought on how the book started about listening to disagreements. So anyway, then he talks about the difference between God, the Christian God, and life force is that life force, you know how when people say I'm praying to the universe and stuff like that, and I'm manifesting by asking the universe for what I want. He notes that the difference between the Christian God and life force is that you can kind of use life force as you wish and then ignore it when you don't need it. Whereas God, you can't ignore him, you can't use him and bend him to your will. And so yeah, he goes on to talk about the Christian God offers forgiveness for your sins no matter how bad they are. But he notes that to ask for forgiveness, we have to know that we've done something wrong and thus acknowledge that there is right and wrong. And he talks about something called pantheism, which is what I think he says Hindus and stuff that believe in. Pantheism is the belief that there is no absolute good and bad, but rather anything can be seen as good or bad depending on how you see it, depending on your perspective. So if there's if someone has cancer, then maybe is it bad? Well, also it's good that the surgeon was able to remove the cancer. I butchered that example, but that's an example he uses. Pantheists believe that nothing is good or bad. It just depends on perspective. And so yeah, he also notes that you can be good for the sake of goodness, but you cannot be bad for the sake of badness, meaning that you can be good for the sake of goodness, but people are not bad for the sake of badness. People are bad because they want something power or sex or money. And so power and sex and money in themselves are good. So the only reason the only thing that makes it bad is that like people use the wrong, like the wrong methods to get them. And so he notes that like because of that, you can't be bad for the sake of badness, because badness is only spoiled goodness. And he notes that the devil is a fallen angel. So he was once an angel, but he has fallen. And so like evil is a parasite and not an original thing. And so he talks about how like we have free will, because if we didn't have free will and like we're just programmed to behave in a good way, then like it becomes meaningless. Like goodness, like good behavior, good actions are only good because we have the choice, because like we can choose them. And like that's why God gave us free will, because he wanted us to be able to choose. Because like if you only act good because you don't have free will and you have no other option but to act good, then it's not really good. So like God wanted us to have the choice to be able to sin or to obey him, because like then our love for him is real love that we've chosen. And so I really enjoyed that book. I'm still reading it. Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. Thank you for getting ready with me for church. You're beautiful, you're perfect, I love you, God bless you, goodbye.